I have a confession to make that I recently realized, and that is I think I like push your luck games. I think I really like push your luck games. This is a surprise to me because I think of myself as being fairly logical. I like Euro games where I have a lot of control, a lot of information. But starting with Dungeon Roll, going through Dead Man's Draw, Clank, and now this other game that I'm going to talk about today, Deep Sea Adventure, I think I just really enjoy push your luck games, and it's. I'm not confessing this because I think they're bad games. It's just surprising to me that I have really fallen for this category of games, this mechanism that well, it's not one set mechanism. It's a genre of games that I really enjoy. Push your luck is basically in a game where you are making choices that that increase or sometimes decrease your risk of something bad happening, knowing along the way that something bad might happen. You might lose your turn. You might lose the game. You might lose the round. You might be dropped out of the game or the round. And that is a large part in your control, but there are certain parts that aren't in your control, and that's where you're kind of calculating the odds along the way. In Deep Sea Adventure, I have a photo here. My printer printed a little weird, but you can get an idea for what it looks like. It is not a black and white game. Deep Sea Adventure from Oink Games has 1 to 6 players diving down from a ship underwater to collect treasure competitively and then return to the ship with that treasure. The deeper you go, the better the treasure gets. You don't know exactly what the treasure is that you're getting, but you know that the odds, so this is part of the push your luck, the odds of the treasure getting better increase the deeper that you dive. You can see that demonstrated here, how this starts out with these basic tokens, and the deeper you go, the tokens get better. The wonderful hook in this game is that even though it is a competitive game, you share oxygen on this little ship. There's a little, I don't know if you can see it, but it's a little counter. It's a track on the ship. You share oxygen with the other players. And you spend oxygen in the game, at least the version we played. I've heard there are a couple different variants. You spend oxygen at the beginning of your turn based on how much treasure you are currently carrying. And your goal over 3 rounds is that each round you're trying to dive down, get some treasure, and then return to the ship with that treasure. If you do not return, you do continue the game. You continue on to the next round, but you lose all that treasure. It sinks to the bottom of the ocean. So think about how cool this is. You are sharing oxygen competitively with other players. So that means as you are pushing your luck and trying to go deeper and deeper and get better stuff and return with that stuff, other players are doing it too. And you're sharing that same oxygen. So you're creating this really interesting tension between the other players. In some ways, at certain times in the game, you are actively rooting for the other players to get back to this ship because maybe they arrived a little bit earlier than you and you need them to get out because once they're on the boat, they're no longer using oxygen. So you want them to get out so that you can return with your better treasure. Also, along the way, I didn't mention this, but this uses the leapfrog mechanism, another mechanism I really like, which is when you move in this game, you roll some dice. They're dice numbered from 1 to 3, and you move along the track in the direction that you are going. So you're either going deep down or you're going back up. It's either one way or the other. You can't go back and forth within the same round. You get to leapfrog over other players. So at times you're hoping that other players will get just past you on the track so that you can then leapfrog over them and race back up to the boat or race down and get deeper. The other thing, so there's all this push your luck stuff involved with those mechanisms that I love. I love the thrill of going down, deciding how deep do I want to go, how good of treasure do I want to get, do I want to even return with all the treasure that I captured? Because if you drop treasure along the way, you can use less oxygen on your future turns. But also in general, I don't know if I've ever really identified this as a mechanism, even though it's a kind of a subcategory of push your luck, but I love race in, race out. This is what I love about Clank. I love the thrill in Clank of crawling down deep into this dungeon, grabbing some treasure, and racing back up to get out of the dungeon. And the tension is, how deep do I want to go? How far can I go before I need to get out? Race in, race out. I think that's a category of games that I really, really like. And I'm curious in the comments if you know of any other race in, race out games similar to Deep Sea Adventure, similar to Clank, or just your favorite push your luck game. There's so much to love about this. I know I'm showing you a picture, but it's because I've ordered the game. I haven't received my copy yet, but after playing it 3 times this past weekend, I have to own it. I love it. I really, really want to keep playing this game, and I want to play other games like it. So if you have any recommendations, I'd love to hear them in the comments. If you also have any mechanical thoughts about the mechanisms I mentioned today, I'd love to hear about that as well. Thanks.